So if there are 3 things you know as me as a person, I love F-Zero. I literally drink, I breathe, and I sleep F-Zero every single day.
I'm very serious about that.
So with that comes aside, it always made me really think, what other F-Zero titles-ish are there? So it came to one title that I think I wanted to do port versus port, but I think this is something that a lot of people need to know, and it's called Extreme-G3. It's on both the PS2 and the Gamecube. I'm going to be looking at the Gamecube title today. Shoutouts to the really good homie Cody. He gave me this title years ago. It was a fantastic title. I always loved it. But I think this is a title you guys need to know, because a lot of people have put this one under the radar, not only because it's cheap, it looks like a budget title, but it is actually fun, and I think a lot of people need to enjoy it. So without further ado, we're going to get into Extreme-G3 Racing on the Gamecube, and ask ourselves, why did we forget this title? If you like Tron light cycles, you're gonna love this. This is Extreme-G3 for the GameCube. The first title was actually released on the PS2 on August 21st, 2001. GameCube port came over a couple months later in November 27th, 2001. Developed by Probe Entertainment, which later is known as Acclaim, they worked on a couple titles such as Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 on the Genesis, and the older Extreme-G titles on the N64. It was also published by Acclaim, and it is, of course, is a sequel to the other Extreme-G games that came out on the Nintendo 64. Kind of going back to it, unlike the other chatty N64 titles, this one actually boasts a very nice frame rate and light speed racing that the other titles definitely do not have. It is rather simplistic in its design, but it does get the job done with light fast speeds and allows you to break the sound barrier, which I want to talk about a little bit later. But it is a really nice game with a couple of tracks, 11 tracks in total, with a couple of Grand Prix mixed in. It is a nifty little title, so if you want something to kind of get the edge off of you, this is one of those games that you're going to eventually like and to keep playing. So without further ado, let's go into the actual gameplay, and we're going to get really into this nitty gritty. Like I said, this game is known for its blistering fast speeds, allowing you to break the sound barrier. So when you go into the menu, it is rather bare bones. There really isn't too much to expect, but it does give you a couple of modes to try. You have Grand Prix, arcade options, and other different options. So let's first go into arcade mode, and this is your rather standard arcade that you just go into. You select your racer and you select your track, and you can race up to 1 or 2 laps, but they are rather long in how they proceed. You go into your light cycle, that's what I'm gonna call it for this, but you go into your light cycle and you race on the track, and pretty much you go at a blistering speed. There are 3 speeds that you can see in this game. There's 250, 500, 750, and there's also the coveted 1000, which allows you to break the sound barrier. And let me tell you, this game's speed is astronomical when it gets to that point. Going into that, of course, this game does have a Grand Prix mode, allows you to select your team and 2 racers on that specific team. Going into the tracks, it is rather nice to see there's a little bit of a variety, from a desert section all the way to cyberpunk aesthetic, which is one of my favorite aspects of the game. It also boasts little weapons that you could use against your enemies. You have rockets, you have a flame trail, you have different little knickknacks that you can buy and you can use from the store. Basically, the points that you get from the Grand Prix you can use for weapons and to boost up your engines. Like I said, this track basically runs at about maybe 2 laps if anything, but the tracks are rather long. You can finish them at around 3 minutes each track, about 1.5 minutes for each lap. So it does have some length to it, which is rather nice to it. Each Grand Prix has 3 tracks that you can race. After you finish one trophy, you go up to the next, and you go up to the next track, allowing you to unlock other Grand Prix and unlock different modes. Now the game, this is one of those games that does heavily use game cheats, which is really cool. You don't really see that these days anymore, but pretty much you can input your codes, you can input whatever you want to, and it's rather nice to see that, you know, if you can get infinite money or sound, and especially for different sections that you really need for the game, this is really one of those things that, you know, it kind of brings it a little bit together, and it adds a little fun layer to it as well. And one last thing to note, that breaking the sound barrier is probably one of the coolest aspects about the game. Basically what you have to do, you have to get into the later cups and you'll actually be able to upgrade your engine, and from there, by going into higher speeds, you'll be able to boost and you'll be seeing stuff like this, which but I thought it was actually something cool to toss in and show you guys, because this is actually one of my favorite parts of the game, just that you can actually do something like that. So going on into the music, it was actually made by the members of the Ministry of Sound, which is basically a multimedia company based out in London that's focused on house and music of that style. So basically brought a couple members of that society in, and it was actually able to create a couple tracks for Extreme-G3. Now, I'm not gonna lie, some of the tracks do have a good beat, some of them are rather catchy, some of the other ones, they don't really catch me off too much. It honestly really depends on you, but for me, like, it just felt like a rather tame and normal soundtrack at best. It was just there to kind of bolster you, entertain you, and, you know, provide background music. I think one of my favorite tracks though was in one of the cyberpunk cities, and I don't know, there was something about that one that just really caught my attention. But overall, it pretty much has a nice catchy tune that you can listen to once in a while. It's there just to present itself, so don't really expect too much there. When it comes to price, there is a reason why this game really hasn't been heard of. If anything, it's rather cheap. Both the PS2 and the Gamecube are rather cheap in itself. You can find them for at least $5 to $10 complete. And by that, I mean, you know, the case, the manual, and the CD. It is rather crazy you can find this game for that cheap. So if you see it, pick it up. You're gonna definitely like it. And the big question is, why did we forget about Extreme-G3? Now the thing is, this game has rather low sales on both the PS2 and the Gamecube. You can see all the sales that's going on for both the PS2 and then going on the Gamecube. This game really didn't sell much. I think about 0.21 million, which is nothing, honestly, even for a title like this. So it is rather much of a budget title, but for what it is, it does bring a couple cool elements to the table. It isn't nowhere near as intricate as, let's say, F-Zero, because that basically has a little bit more strategy and it has great track variety. But this basically has its own kick to it. If you guys want something that'll pass the time, if you want a fun Tron Light Cycle-like experience, this game will basically give it to you in spades. So I would highly recommend you get this title. I know a couple people are going to ask me, why didn't you do a port versus port for this, but I just wanted people to know more about the title rather than do a port comparison. I don't think people would enjoy that too much. I hope you guys enjoy it. Check it out, and we'll see how it goes. It's got Tron Light Cycles, it's got great tracks, it's got pretty chillin' music. It's pretty much got everything that you want, so I don't think there's any reason you shouldn't get it, and the price is cheap. This game literally screams a great hidden gem, and I don't really think people have talked about it. It's not like the N64 versions where they run on very shoddy frame rate, but this is something you guys will actually enjoy, so if you ever see it out in the open, give it a shot, you'll like it. Especially since you could break the fucking sound barrier. So of course, thank you guys so much for checking out my videos. I know I haven't been doing too much, but I've been trying to do what I can. If you guys are curious what my update little is these days, check out my update video. I'm gonna put at the end of the video, check it out. Pretty much gives you what's going on with my schedule. I'm still gonna be doing videos, obviously, and streams. But yeah, pretty much just check it out. And I will be streaming The Evil Within. That's going to be coming out on my YouTube page, so check it out. I should be streaming Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday every single week, if anything. So come at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You'll be able to check out The Evil Within. Should be a fun time. It's new for me. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's evil and it's within all of us, and it's spoopy. What don't you like about spoopy? So thank you guys so much. Hit me up on all my social media. Also play more F-Zero. I'm very serious about that. Because the thing is, if you guys aren't playing F-Zero, I'm not gonna like you. or as a person and as an individual. And the thing is,
we need more F-Zero in our lives. So if you can, go on Twitter and tell Nintendo, please give me more F-Zero, because you know what, I really think we need more.
Nintendo, please bring more. I have my Falcon coffee cup because you need to make more, so please, for the love of God, just